Hey.
All right.
Hey, here we go. Real Deal Sports Show. It's been a while. The fanatic is here. He is excited to be here. We're ready to get it done, and we're getting ready to do it. But here, we're going to pass this over. Go ahead, Rad Man. Handle that.
Yes, indeed. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to Real Deal Sports Show. Talking sports of all sorts for the next hour, and we're going to make things happen here on the Beat 105.5 WLGZ HD2, the Beat 105.5. Bringing sports of all sorts to you today, and there's a lot of things in the sports world. But before we get to it, we just want to say, Buffalo 10, stay strong. We always salute the Buffalo 10. We salute you. You'll never be forgotten. That day of infamy back in May 14th, 2022 seems like it was just yesterday. Here it is, over a year gone already, and we still seeking justice for the Buffalo 10. So we always dedicate the show to the Buffalo 10. You're in our hearts, you're in our minds. You will never be forgotten. Also, pick up this week's Challenger community newspaper at most businesses in the community. Check out what's going on in the Challenger community newspaper and find out what's going on. Because if you check out this week, Sister Alnisa Barbara Banks, she's always bringing you the latest news, the latest updates and things. And find out that what happened in Florida at the Dollar General last week, that was not the first time, unfortunately. Florida has a long history, including Jacksonville, Florida itself, of atrocities to Black people. You read about the sordid history of how the state of Florida has treated African-American people. She have a list of things that went down in that state. So please check that out in this week's Challenger community newspaper. Also, Part 2 dedication, David Divers. David Divers Sr. was laid to rest yesterday. Outstanding celebration of life service at St. Monica's Church on Genesee Street. We're always there. Umpires, basketball officials. This guy was an umpire, a basketball official, coach of CYO League, CYO basketball. He coached the CYO basketball teams there at St. Monica. So maybe some of you adults will remember David Divers, making sure that you had basketball time to play on those courts at St. Monica's. He was born April 10th, 1957, and made his transition August 22nd, 2023. David York Divers, outstanding man. He was excellent. Always had a good ship. Always giving you jokes and one-liners and the whole thing, the whole 9 yards. Always kept things lively and kept things going. Excellent man. Made Rochester a much better place to live. David York Divers Sr. He made Rochester a much better place to live by giving back to his community, giving back to his church community. He was also on the board of Progressive Bank, banking. Didn't even know he was on the board of a bank here in Rochester, New York. Also, various organizations, umpired with USSSA, Upstate Umpires Association. When I first met him at Upstate Umpires Association, started by Mr. RDK. RDK ran that organization. Then Jerry Ellison took over after Mr. K retired. So it was this excellent man. Did a great job for the Rochester community. David Divers Sr. Rest in power. And once again, everybody, know your history, Rochesterians. You got to know your history.
You got to know it. You got to know it.
And David Divers Sr. was someone if you didn't know him, if you didn't know who David Divers Sr. was, people of a certain age group, then you really haven't been in Rochester, New York. So continue to learn your history. Another person that made Rochester, New York a much better place to live. Right, Fanatic?
Hey, man, you never said it more true statement right there than you did right there, Rad, man. David Divers, an amazing man, just somebody who always poured into his community, somebody who always gave back, was a coach to my middle brother, man. Hey, man, he was an umpire in a few of my games, some questionable calls sometime from Mr. David Divers, man. But a great man and somebody who always looked out and wanted to help his community. So shout out, rest in power, man. Going way too young, so rest in power.
And speaking of way too young, Marcel Presley Jr., you got a quick comment on Marcel's untimely passing?
Yeah, man. That's my brother, man. My brother. So my brother, I'm saying 3 times. We always believe good things come in 3. So shout out to Marcel Presley, man. And just going way, way, way too soon, but lived his life to the fullest. We were kids growing up in the neighborhood of 19th Ward of Rochester, and he had nose cancer, and he always fought. He fought off cancer another time, just always been fighting. So I love my brother. I can't wait to get home to Rochester to see him and have a conversation with him at his beautiful gravesite. But just going way too soon. But somebody who I want to make sure everybody knows the name, Marcel Presley Jr., and somebody who even when he was sick, he was still always would say, put a smile on somebody else's face. Somebody got it worse than I do. Somebody got it worse than we all do. And that's the truth, man. And he's just such a great person. I still talk to him in my spirit, man. And just even on days where it's like, all right, a little crazy, a little wild, still want to just make sure we show him out, man, and shout him out and just appreciate him and the love that he gave our community, our city, and the world. Marcel Presley Jr., love you, my brother, man. I'll see you soon, man. I can't love that you still here with me in spirit. I'm going to keep making people smile. Hopefully do it in today's show.
Exactly. Rest in power. And this young man passed away fighting cancer. So always give what you can. Was still fighting. He never gave up from the age of 13 to 36 years old. He never gave up. The young man was always fighting. And when I saw him during the holiday season, Memorial Weekend, I remember when everybody was in town, he came by. And the young man still had that fight in him, that fighting spirit. Good people, good young man. And unfortunately, with all the violence in the community, you forget that people still pass away from disease, from illnesses, You kind of almost, you see all this violence and everything happening, people getting shot at. It's like, come on, put the guns down. You still fighting diseases and illnesses. This young man passed away from an illness. So it gave a great fight.
From sickle cell. Sickle cell was a part of it, and then just overall cancer. Cancer is still killing us like crazy. So, folks, I want to make the PSA, and I went, and honestly, I'm talking to myself here too. As I had my doctor's appointment yesterday, missed that because of work. But we need to make sure, myself included, I'm starting with me first. Got to go to the doctor, get checked out. I know it can be nerve-wracking. I know it can be scary to figure out what may happen, what they may say. But the sooner you can get diagnosed, if you have something, the better they can fight it. So he went in. He knew something was wrong because he had been sick before, and the diagnosis of cancer. Nobody wants that. So for everybody that's out there fighting cancer, we love you. We're giving you extra strength this morning because we know that cancer, man. You talk about that rabbit. Yeah, we killing each other. Got to go ahead and keep fighting that, because cancer is a dastardly disease that keep getting everybody. Doesn't matter what you look like, sound like, where you from. Cancer is always trying to get somebody. So we got to keep finding a way to keep pushing on and keep beating the cancer.
Absolutely. And then also, remember, one of our lead sponsors, Challenger Community News, they have Health Matters. They have a health section in the Challenger. Each week, you reading about healthy foods, what healthy foods to eat and to put into your body so that your body is feeling better and you can be as healthier as you can be. So read that Health Matters column each week in Challenger Community News, Western New York's largest weekly African-American newspaper, thechallengernews.com, or call 585-766-3590 for articles. If you have articles, then send the editor at thechallengernews.com. That's editor, editor, at thechallengernews, NEWS, S as in Sam.com. So you can send in your articles and things of that nature, or if you just want to advertise in the publication as well. So keep in mind, Challenger Community News, wealth of information. Read about the atrocities of the state of Florida has put on African-American Black people in this country for all these years. She got it well documented. Sister Alnisa Barbara Banks, owner and operator, does an outstanding job of putting this publication out week in and week out. So check it out in the Challenger Community News. And then we get into the world of sports fanatic. As you can see, hey, here we go. It's almost time for us to not only fantasy football, but we get into our picks toward the end of the show. And I'm sure we'll have a pick for the Kansas City-Detroit game at the end of this show today for our people, so we can get them off to a good start and put a little money in their pocket after this Labor Day holiday weekend.
You know what it is, Rad Man, but we don't even got to wait for that, baby. We don't got to wait because that Florida-Utah was an under all day. Sorry, I missed it last week, but hey, we got a pick for you. We got a bunch of wild games. This is the problem to me with college football. I know they have no preseason, but somebody need to play somebody. It's really two main games. We got LSU, Florida State coming up on Sunday. That's going to be a big game. And then we also have Dion, prime time, coming out here at noon today. So we got some picks for you with college football before we even get into the pros. So we're excited for it. We're going to talk some fantasy football. Had the family draft last night. Like the squad. We're going to go ahead and see what's happening. So excited to talk about it. But, Rabbit, we got to talk about those Bills, man. What's going on? What are you thinking about? Hey, what's happening?
What's happening is Brandon Beane showing you, as I said all along, his management skills just aren't where they should be. I told you he's a work in progress. He's never been a general manager. He had all these jobs within the Carolina Panthers organization, and it's starting to show as you continue to further away from when he first started. Take a look at his record now, y'all. I've been saying it all along. Very suspect. Boogie Basham. Traded Boogie Basham to the New York Giants earlier this week for a 5th or 7th round draft pick, whatever it is. But this guy was a high draft pick of yours. Hadn't produced. You traded him. Matter of fact, you got offers for Boogie Basham and AJ Espinoza. The reason why, according to the New York Giants people, they were going to take, it was between AJ or Boogie, and they took Boogie because he has 2 years left on his contract. AJ Espinoza, this is the last year of his contract. So if he had a good year with the New York Giants, then the Giants would have to pay him more money next season or offer him more money for next season. So that's the business side of football. They took the lesser of two evils. At least with Boogie Basham, you got 2 years. You know what he's going to be getting paid for the next 2 years under his current contract. So, but getting back to Brandon Beane, that's two guys right there you whiffed on. And then you go back to the most whiffed one of all of Brandon Beane's pick is Wyatt Teller. You drafted Wyatt Teller in the 5th round. You had him as your guard. He played a few games. He played games. He was at that time. He was the strongest man in the league due to the fact that he lifted more weights. He did more reps than anybody at the NFL Combine. So you knew he was strong. You put him in position. He looked so to begin with. But you didn't hold on him long enough to see what he could do. Now Wyatt Teller is regarded as the best offensive lineman in the National Football League. Did you hear me, listeners out there? Wyatt Teller is now one of the best linemen, offensive guards in the entire National Football League. He's now the highest paid guard. He just signed a contract last season that made him the highest paid offensive lineman in the National Football League, offensive guard for sure at that position. Wyatt Teller, who was drafted by the Buffalo Bills, but the Bills didn't keep him. They didn't work with him to see what he could do. You traded him to Cleveland for nobody, for a wide receiver that you ended up cutting at the end of training camp. Come on. Everybody said the kid from TCU couldn't run pass routes. That's why everybody was cutting him. You bring him in, you see he couldn't understand pass routes either, and you cut him, but then you gave away an offensive guard that now turned into the best offensive guard in the entire National Football League. That's on Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott. Because Sean McDermott, why would you cut this guy? Who was your offensive line coach telling you that this kid doesn't have it? Let's get rid of him and go with somebody else. And now this guy's been with the Cleveland Browns. And Cleveland Browns are regarded as the best offensive line in the National Football League, by the way. They have a strong offensive line led by Wyatt Teller, who is the highest paid offensive guard in the National Football League. That lets you know that Brandon Beane is whiffing on a lot of players. And this is why you see the Bills with a veteran-laden team. It seems like they're good at getting free agents and bringing guys in from free agency, older guys, than they are with their own draft picks. And then you let Tremaine Edmonds, the number 13 pick overall. You drafted Josh Allen at number 7. You drafted Tremaine Edmonds at 13. Both those guys should still be on your roster. Josh Allen is the only one still on the roster. Tremaine Edmonds, you let him go, but you pay a average tight end, Dawson Knox. You give his money to Dawson Knox. What? It doesn't make no sense, man. People need to start calling Brandon Beane out that he's not that good of a general manager. He's not that good of a general manager. He needs to sharpen his pencils and listen to his scouting department a little bit better or something. Because you draft a guy in the 5th round, he's regarded as the best guard in the National Football League a couple of years later. Something wrong with whoever that offensive line coach was, and also Sean McDermott. Let's bring him call him out on the carpet. How you let that guy get away? And now your defensive picks, they don't seem to be outstanding. Greg Rousseau, AJ Espinosa, Boogie Basham. Those guys aren't big time guys for being drafted that high in the draft. You got to do better in the draft, and that's why the Bills are struggling. That's another reason why their payroll, why they struggling and trying to make ends meet with their roster. Because Brandon Beane has missed on a lot of guys. He seemed like he's good at getting guys in the 5th through the 7th round. He seems to find guys that actually make your team, but you got to do that in the 1st and 2nd round, man. You can't take big-time draft picks. That's one reason why the Bills got so much trouble right now with their roster, because he missed on so many players early in the rounds. And J-GILLZ, welcome to the show, J-GILLZ. I see you just came on, popped on board with us. Real Deal Sports Show. Can you say something else about Brandon Beane? Am I right or am I wrong about this Brandon Beane? People need to start calling him out on the carpet for his draft picks.
Oh man, good morning. Good morning, 105 to B. Good morning, Radman Fanatic, Real Deal family. Now, Radman, you spot on when it comes to Brandon Beane. I mean, when I hear Brandon Beane, I look at the moves that he's made, the money that he's mishandled, and the draft picks that he's picked. I mean, we got to give him credit to some point, because the Buffalo Bills have made the playoffs and won the AFC East the last 3 seasons. You have to give him some credit. But you're right. When you talk about making the contender team, getting the team over the hump, sometimes it's those special pieces, and sometimes it's paying those special players like a Tremaine Edmonds opposed to a Dawson Knox. You know what I mean? But you got to give Brandon Beane some credit and some loss. But yeah, you're spot on when it comes to the management of the Buffalo Bills, and something has to get done. If they're not calling for the hot seat for Brandon Beane and for Sean McDermott by the end of this season, then it's going to be a problem in Buffalo. You can book it.
Yeah, and then during the offseason, the owner gave these guys 2 more years. He just gave them 2 more. What are you doing giving guys 2 more years when they're not doing the best job they possibly can do? But I must give Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott some credit. They did get to 13 seconds left against Kansas City. The Bills had the lead, and what happens? Sean McDermott messed it up, blew it up, big miscommunications on the sideline. So Buffalo had a chance to win. And if they would have held on and won that 13-second game, as everybody in the press box was getting ready for the Bills to be at home next week, and the following week, and they would have played the Cincinnati Bengals at home with a full strength. Their guys were not injured. Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer weren't injured that year. Those guys were still healthy. They had everybody playing at a high level. Josh Allen just came off the best game of his career against the Kansas City Chiefs. Going up against Joe Burrows in the Cincinnati Bengals at home would have been an interesting matchup with the Bills playing their best football. And there was a good chance that if they would have beat Cincinnati at home, which that game never happened, obviously, because Sean McDermott messed up the last 13 seconds of the Kansas City game. Buffalo should have went to the Super Bowl that season, defeat Cincinnati at home, and went to the Super Bowl in that season and that would have been against the LA Rams at SoFi Stadium. That would have been an interesting Super Bowl matchup, because Buffalo should have been there. That was Buffalo's year to make it to the Super Bowl. Now we have Sean McDermott pulling the hole out. Now Leslie Frazier just stepped away from the team. Okay, you want to run the defense. Now he's asking us. He had a defensive coach calling defensive signals against the Chicago Bears. And I'm just running J-GILLZ. How's that going to work? If he's already seeing that he's having trouble making head coaching decisions, and then you want to call the defensive plays, and you trying to figure out how it's going to work in a preseason game so that you could be ready for the regular season. To me, that doesn't bode well, does it, for him calling the plays? He got to have somebody upstairs, either Eric Washington down on the field or Al Holbert upstairs, somebody's got to be telling him what the situations are and how he can make that call. That's why head coaches don't wear the defensive coordinator hat and the head coach hat at the same time, because you got to be wary of what's going on in the game. You got to rely on your OC, your offensive coordinator, and your defensive coordinator to help you out to make the right decisions. And then when it's the last 2 minutes of the game or crucial situations, then you interject in and maybe make a change to their calls, like he liked to do with Leslie Frazier in that 13-second game, tried to change the call at the last minute, and that screwed everything up when he tried to jump in there and messed up Leslie Frazier's calling of the last 13 seconds of that Kansas City game and made everybody look bad. Right, J-GILLZ? What's your take on that?
Well, I gotta see. I know this preseason game. It's the preseason, Rap Man, so I'm not gonna get too hyped up about that. But I think that Sean McDermott definitely can stand a chance in calling the defensive plays and maintaining the head coaching job over there in Buffalo. When I look at the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick, he's always had a defensive coordinator or somebody who was always equipped to call the plays. But Bill Belichick always had a grasp on that defense and would definitely manage the game as he saw fit from the offensive side to the defensive side, made sure those things correlate. When I look at the Miami Dolphins, former coach Brian Flores, how he was a defensive-minded guy, couldn't get an offense together, but always had a grasp of the defense, had his guys calling the plays. However, he always had a grasp of defense and knew how he wanted to call it. Sean McDermott has a great history in calling defensive plays as a defensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers, took his team to the Super Bowl, lost miserably to the Denver Broncos, I might add. However, he did get the team there. So, and through his tenure here, through the Buffalo Bills, I mean, he's been able to work with Leslie Frazier, call the plays, and I think a huge key difference in this season is going to be the health of the Buffalo Bills. A lot of these guys, the last couple of seasons, have key players have been not healthy, whether it's a Tremaine Edmonds, Tre'Davious White, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, and now even entering to this season, Von Miller starting on the pub. So if he's missing the first 4 games, as you've alluded to, Radman, he probably won't be back until Thanksgiving. So even still, they're at a deficit. However, I do think that the health of the team is going to be a great value into his play calling, but only time to tell. I'm not going to put it all in the preseason. Sean McDermott, he showed that he's equipped to handle the defensive side of the ball. Mind you, he might have threw that away for you in 13 seconds, but I still got faith in this season to see if he can do what he can do.
Yeah, 13 seconds hurts badly because that was Buffalo's year right there. You're absolutely right, J-GILLZ. Ed Oliver's a good player, but is Ed Oliver a number 9 overall draft pick, J-GILLZ?
Well, and another thing, in that draft,
number 9 overall guy?
In that draft, I will say this. I believe Keenan Williams got picked. He's the first D tackle on that board. If I'm not mistaken, maybe this is the right draft. I know that Ed Oliver did get picked and got paid $17 million. A guy like Christian Wilkins, who's for the Miami Dolphins, he was, I believe, the 14th pick in that same draft. He's still looking to get his big contract. You know what I mean? So when it comes to the value of the play, Christian Wilkins is he's the best defensive tackle. He led the league in stopping the run. He led the league in tackles. He's the number 1 defensive tackle in stopping the run. Better than Vita Vea, better than Deron Payne, better than all these guys. Now, when it comes to rushing the passer, that's where he just hasn't been able to do. So when I look at a guy like Ed Oliver, the balance that he brings to the offense, his ability to try and stop the run, his ability to get to the passer. He's not the best at both, but he brings quality in both sides. So, he got paid his $17 million. So when I look at that draft, I think that he's right about spot on. I could definitely see him being a top 10 pick. I can.
Okay. Hey, there we go.
Fair enough, J-GILLZ.
The fanatic.
Great talk. Wait a minute. Well, which way is it? That's what I keep hearing. Which way is it? Y'all giving compliments, but telling people they stink. You're telling them they stink, but you're telling them it's all right. Let's be real. Let's not do revisionist history. This is not that kind of sports show, folks. We're not going to just give a revision. Ed Oliver fell to the Bills. He was a great pick based on the mock draft of he was a top player coming out of the Houston Cougars. You can talk to, I know we're going to bring our guy, my man Chris Gardner on. He'll tell you about the Houston Cougars. And so it was all about Ed Oliver was there. The Bills have a great overall roster. Do you want to know, really, since 2018, again, the Bills continue to be a team where folks want to come and lay their head. What I mean by that is since 2018, Which team has the most players claimed off of waivers? It's the Buffalo Bills. Brandon Beane has done a great job in Buffalo. Nobody gets it all right. You talked about my guy, Bill Belichick. That's my guy, but Dollar Bill need to be on the hot seat. Sean McDermott need to be on the hot seat. So it is really a big part to me to say the Bills have done a great job. It's been 13 seconds. It's been little moments that have hurt them, but the Bills have an overall excellent, I'm not mincing words, excellent roster. And when you look, they're not bereft of talent anywhere. Everybody wants their players. The Patriots, when I look at them, they're bereft of offensive talent, especially at the wide receiver position. So to me, Buffalo has a great overall team. Yes, McDermott botched it up in Kansas City. Our guy from KC was looking clean, as well as the Rad Man was looking clean in the press box in that game. I get it, but let's talk about it and be real. McDermott, he's on the hot seat. Beane has put together a great roster, but nobody is 100% and gets it all right. So let's be clear with our beautiful audience. We love and appreciate y'all. Let's be clear. The Bills have a great team, and what I'm really excited about is let's just take a quick poll here. Who has the best overall roster in the AFC East? Who has the best overall roster in the AFC East? It could be the Jets. Everybody say that on paper.
It could be the Jets.
Telling you what we know, J-GILLZ, Radman, and our 105.5, the Beat family, and everybody online. We ain't telling you what we know. We ain't telling you what we heard. We telling you what we know. The Bills got the best overall roster, not on paper, in actuality. Well, in the AFC East, and I think it's gonna be one of the top in the AFC. The NFC, whoever comes through and makes it to the Super Bowl, they're gonna get waxed more than likely. We all know this is a war of attrition in the NFL playoffs in general. But to me, the Bills have done a great job. Come on.
Well, they have the talent. They have the talent. They just got to put it together. And they briefly, I must say, Brandon Beane has brought in a lot of veteran guys. A lot of guys coming. Taylor Rapp, these guys coming in. I think he's going to be a good addition on the defense on the backside and as a safety position. And Ed Oliver got to come up with some, get some good playing as well. Ed Oliver got to show up a little more. Daquan Jones continues to show up. When he's on the field, he showed up for almost all the game. Unfortunately, he just couldn't play. He was injured for that playoff game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Poona Ford being added to the lineup should be a help, too, at that nose guard position, giving Bills some more veteran leadership out there on the field. On the defensive side of the ball and on the offensive side, it should come together. Deion Dawkins there on the left tackle. And we see that Osiris Torrance, I think that's guy going to be a good offensive tackle. I think he's going offensive guard. I think he'll have a good season. I think the Bills will be able to run the ball more this season and get the ball out of Josh Allen's hands a little more so they can get that ball playing. And, hey, we're going to go over to basketball for a moment, guys. Do it quick. But before we go to basketball, Miriam Rivera Insurance Agency, auto, home, health, and life insurance, 1038 Lyle Avenue or 511 Bean Road. See our girl, our friend of the show, Miriam Rivera, 585 area code 360-0094. Give the friend of the show, Miriam Rivera. She saved me and my family a hell of a lot of money on auto insurance, home and health insurance as well. Let her give you a quote, a free quote, and help your family save a hell of a lot of money because the cost of auto, everything's gone up. So you know how auto insurance are, or your college students going back to school, give Miriam Rivera a call. If you got a college student going to school or got them back in, get them a little hoopty or something, give Miriam a call, 360-0094. She'll help you with your insurance business as well. She'll help you with your auto, home, health, and life insurance needs, everybody. And J-GILLZ and Fanatic, we got a nice interview with Thomas Bryant coming up. And let's hear from the Rochester native who was in town recently. And we had a chance to speak with him about being the NBA champion and also what went down with that trade with the LA Lakers back toward the end of the NBA season at the trade deadline. Backsmith, we could go to that interview.
Thomas, now how was it winning a championship with the Denver Nuggets? How did that feel being part of a team?
It was great. It was a blessing. It was a blessing to be on the team that, potentially won a championship. And, as a kid, you always dreamed about things like that and talked about things like that. But to actually have it, come to reality as a blessing and something that I'm going to always cherish for the rest of my life.
And how was it at trade deadline when the trade happened? Were you expecting a trade, or were you thought that the Lakers might move you or anything of that nature?
And throughout the trade deadline, of course, there's always jitters and everything, but for me, it was just like I never wanted to be traded.
Okay.
So the aspect of how that happened was just totally out of the ordinary what people might think. Like, I never wanted to get traded. I never requested a trade. I never did any of that. Like, I wanted to stay with the Lakers. As much as I praise AD, LeBron, Austin, Rui, everyone that was on that team that was there from now all the way till then, even Russ and Pat Bev. Like, I loved that team, and I loved developing with those guys. So it was like I never really wanted to get traded, but it happened, so it happened. So it's a business. You have to work with it.
And how was your mindset? How did you change to say, oh wow, now I'm going to Denver? How was that for you? How was that mentally for you to change?
It was different. It was difficult because, just with LA, I just had people there that I knew. I had to, my whole organization, how I did things was all through LA. That's where I worked out in the summertime, and then being there for the season. And then going to Denver, it was just very different because Denver's very different from any type of city life or anything like that. So it was a kind of big of a shock to me, but I had to adjust to it.
Right. And how was it now going to Miami now?
It was great. Going to Miami, just talking with those guys and talking with the coaches, getting the standpoint of, in a basis of what they want from me. Total transparency of how they want me to play, and they want to use me. So I really feel good about it.
Good. So they gave you some idea how they want to use you?
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Potentially come being out there with Bam and Jimmy, and or one or the other, and or coming off the bench. So it's like it's both ways.
Excellent. Last but not least, what's your words of encouragement for the young people of Rochester, New York?
To always keep pursuing your dreams and aspirations, no matter what it is. Whether it's business, basketball, athletics, anything. Always pursue what you want to do. Don't let anybody tear you down, because you can accomplish anything that you can set your mind to, and you always put the work in and day out.
Excellent.
There you go. Excellent. There you heard it from Thomas Bryant. Grew up on Hudson Avenue, by the way. Went to Bishop Kearney High School. Very nice young man. I was very impressed with him, guys. But the one thing that really surprised me about the interview was we were reading reports online. That's why you can't always trust what you read
I was just going to get there.
They were saying that he wanted out of LA.
Requested a trade.
Right. Remember we reported on that, J-GILLZ?
Then he said he requested a trade, and straight from the player's mouth, he said he did not want to leave LA. LA is his home. LA is where he works out. So that was great reporting, right, man, and getting right to the story. As the Fanatics say, what you say, Fanatic?
Hey, we not telling you what we know.
Come on.
We not telling you what we heard. We telling you what we know. I'm gonna get it right today.
You're gonna get it one of these days.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why we bring it to you here. Real Deal Sports Show, talking sports of our source. And when he said that, I was surprised. I said, wow. He said he didn't want to trade. And one other thing, he did a question and answer session with the students at the Boys and Girls Club of Rochester. Dwayne Mahoney runs that facility, does a hell of a job with that facility. And most of the athletes that make it out of Rochester always give homage to the Boys and Girls Club of Rochester, New York, and the fine job that Dwayne Mahoney and his entire staff continue to do up there at 500 Genesee Street with the Boys and Girls Club of Rochester. Check it out. That's a great place to take your kids and so forth during vacation time. Summer, I know summer's about over, but hey, during the fall or you got school off or things, take your kids up there. It's a safe place for your kids to play and get nurtured and grow and meet other kids that growing and doing the same thing. And Thomas Bryant was saying about one of the kids asked him who was his favorite player to play with, and he said Russell Westbrook. He said that guy is so cool, and he said he helped him out with a lot of off the court things as well as on the court. And he said Russell Westbrook is currently the best teammate. If you had to answer it, his best teammate that he played with. He said don't listen to the media talk, and that's another thing. Don't listen to us media people and people talking about Russell Westbrook. He said the guy is totally different than how he's portrayed in the media, and that's his favorite guy for playing with and being and connecting with as an NBA player. J-GILLZ and Fanatic.
Yo, that's super dope. And again, that is it's important. It's important to know what's going on, and that Radman, we appreciate you for taking the time to go handle that interview for us. So that's a beautiful, beautiful thing to hear straight from the horse's mouth, to hear from our man Thomas Bryant to say what's going on, what's really going on, what's it really like. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And yeah, Russell Westbrook, beautiful thing with that. So loving it. Loving it. Great interview.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. And
Hey.
yeah. Oh,
No. Hey, well, I was gonna say, hey, I know people have been waiting, people have been clamoring. It is time. Rochester's own. We celebrate Thomas Bryant. We showing love for that. Basketball season will be soon coming upon us, but it's officially fantasy football time. Had my draft last night, folks. I know y'all care about the roster. Just know I didn't mean to because there's so many receivers out there, but I went Devontae Adams and Cooper Kupp. Let's get some good interview. Let's get some thoughts, J-GILLZ, with your fantasy football team. What are you thinking?
Man, first off, I like the pick. I went Devontae in one of mine as well, but the Cooper Kupp thing's a little scary for me. If you talk about a first-round pick, there's already reports saying that Van Jefferson is expected to be the number one receiver as Cooper Kupp recovers from this hamstring injury. When I look at the Rams' offense, just nothing. The offensive line is probably the worst in the league. Cam Akers is your starting running back. He was flip-flopping, was going to get traded, let go, coming back, and now he's on board to be your starting rusher. And then when I just look at Matthew Stafford, I think that, hopefully his health is good. But when I look at Cooper Kupp, I'm just a little nervous that that hamstring injury may linger onto the season. So as far as the first-round pick, can't go Cooper. Maybe a second, maybe a mid-second. Same with Jonathan Taylor, another guy who's going to be missing the first 4 weeks. Who knows if he's going to play a full season? Well, he won't be playing a full season, but just couple guys to watch on the injury report if you're talking about first-round value.
Yeah, that's an excellent pick. The one that was, you're right. And we know, and I'm nervous as I don't know what, because Cooper Kupp, because when he plays, he balls. But you coming into the season with a hamstring injury, it doesn't normally get better. But he was sitting there, and I just didn't see the value of when I got him. It was, to me, I just thought it was worth the risk. But I think fantasy drafts can be won or lost in the first round, but they're really, truly usually won in the later rounds. The first round pick, though, I want to hear from you, though, J-GILLZ. What's your thoughts? Because I like a rookie running back. So to me, Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm a Patriots fan, but the Patriots doing whatever these days. The Detroit Lions, what up, though? Detroit, glad to see them. My man Amara and Jahmyr Gibbs, but I know David Montgomery is in the timeshare. What's your thoughts on rookie running backs in particular, J-GILLZ, to help some folks out?
I love a rookie running back. We got elite backs like an Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley from years in the past, Todd Gurley. But when I look at this batch of rookies, a great stud like Bijan Robinson, who is the only weapon, in my opinion, outside of Drake London, Kyle Pitts. When Kyle Pitts has been the fantasy bust ever since he's entered the league. Drake London does seem like he has a little bit of potential. But even looking at that, Kyle Pitts was supposed to be projected a top tight end in football. He's a great tight end. However, in fantasy, his value is shot. So when I look at a guy like Bijan Robinson, although he has a track record of rookie running backs coming into the league and taking fire, a guy like Desmond Ridder, to me, and Arthur Smith, the coach, is not going to be the recipe for success for a guy like Bijan to have a dominant season. In one of my drafts, the winner of last year, so I got to put some respect on his name, Frank Gold. Got to put some respect on him. He won the league last year. He had the 3rd overall pick and went Bijan Robinson. So a lot of guys are high on Bijan. Me personally, I just don't see the value of Desmond Ridder, even if you dump him down in a PPR league to a guy like Bijan. I don't know how Desmond's going to respond as being a star. This is his first season starting, so I'm not sure how that offensive line is looking. So Bijan, to me, is definitely a first-round value. Don't get me wrong. But top half, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I go Bijan. A guy like Nick Chubb, to me, is much more valuable, in my opinion, in the PPR league, especially with Kareem Hunt on the free agent market and Nick Chubb having that whole backfield to himself, being able to run, pass, and, of course, as the Ratman noted earlier, a guy like Wyatt Teller blocking for him, the Browns having one of the greatest offensive lines, and Deshaun Watson with a whole chip on his back. So I think a guy like Nick Chubb would be a much better pick.
And also pick Deshaun Watson, because he's under the radar. Yeah. Let's tell it like it is here on the Real Deal Sports Show. The NFL is mad. The owners are mad that he has a fully guaranteed contract for $230 million or more dollars. It's fully guaranteed, which means he's getting every penny of that contract, and the owners don't like it. And you notice the media, They don't talk about this. You act like Deshaun Watson not even in the league because they don't even mention him in the top 10. They were doing their top. Every station does their top 10 quarterbacks in the league. How in the world do you not have Deshaun Watson on projected for this season where he's coming back? He has the best offensive line in football, one of the best running backs in the game. He has some decent wide receivers, a good tight end. Man, hey, if you're a fantasy guy, I would take Deshaun Watson as my quarterback for you fantasy cats because he's going to have a breakout season to get back. Remember, he was the top quarterback. He was the top quarterback in the league back in 2020. Come on, guys. He's not
him and Patrick Mahomes in a league of their own.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But Fanatic, I do want to hear the retort to the Bijan because if you're picking a guy like Bijan, fans want to know why are some of the reasons why they should look at Bijan.
Yeah. Well, to me, Bijan is because, especially when you're in the PPR, that dude is a stud. I know Texas is not in our SEC. You know, we got some LSU stuff coming up. Bijan is a stud. Can catch the ball, got wiggle, got a little power, got speed. I think he's going to be great. The only part to me is that he's going to get the volume. He may not get the goal line touches with with Algieri coming in and being the touchdown person. We got another name for that, but he comes in and sneaks those touchdowns away from him. But you can see plenty of catches. I can easily see 20 touches a game, and then just about getting the yards. And really, that division, they should never really, even with that team, they should never really be out of the game. So when they're playing in division. So Atlanta, even with the Desmond Ridder, we don't feel that strong about them. But with the rest of the division, they should be in all of those games. So I like a Bijan Robinson. It's so funny there that we were just talking about it, and y'all didn't know because we don't talk about this before the show. We give our real authentic selves, folks. It was Nick Chubb or Cooper Kupp, and I was like, I got Nick Chubb in another league, so I was like, yo, should I take Nick Chubb and be consistent and know I'm gonna be good, or do I take Cooper Kupp? And now you got me thinking, dang it, I should have took Nick Chubb in the second league, but I wanted to diversify my portfolio of players and went with Cooper Kupp instead of in my family league yesterday. But it's going to be a great fantasy season. Now let's spin it forward. The Bills obviously have Josh Allen. I think that's clear and cut the best player that you can have. And I'm including the defense, the kicker. I would say Tyler Bass is a good pick as well. Yeah. I think James Cook, I've seen him draft. His average draft position is 77. So if you play in a 10-team league, you're looking at the 7th round pick for that, or into the 8th round through 7 rounds. James Cook, I think, is going to be the person. They got rid of Zach Moss. I think James Cook, they've been waiting for him to be that guy. I really believe James Cook is being undervalued as your running back 3 flex position type running back, maybe even end up as a running back 2 this year. What's your thoughts on James Cook, or who is the best player outside of Josh Allen, defense, kicker included, that the Bills have in fantasy?
I like James Cook out of the backfield. I like him more running in open space, not in between the tackles. Get him out there, dump the ball off to him, 5-yard, 3-yard passes, and let him go. Get him in space. You're right. He could be the best fantasy guy for the Bills on the offensive side of the ball. Another sleeper guy, depending on because I don't do the fancy, Trent Sherfield. I think Trent Sherfield going to make some plays for the Bills and have a lot of catches, a lot of yards adding up as the city building upon, as long as he stays healthy. Because I think he's going to be a key component to this offense. I think he'll be what Cole Beasley was for that one season with the Bills a few years ago. He'll be that when things are in the tight, he can come up with the big catches and move the chains. He's a mover chains type guy. Stephon Diggs still going to be able to get some of his passes and get his plays, but a little bit more limited because of the tight ends, because of Kincaid. Because Kincaid is fast. That guy is quick. He can get down the field. He's one of the fastest tight ends I ever seen in a Buffalo Bills uniform. So it's going to be interesting how they use him this season.
I have to agree with you, fellas. I think James Cook is going to have a phenomenal year. I take it back to the Week 3 game against the Miami Dolphins. The way that Josh Allen carved up that Dolphins defense with Devin Singletary, passing the ball out the backfield just with ease, taking what the defense gives him. A guy like James Cook, to me, is 5 times, if not 10 times better than a guy like James Cook is 5 times, if not 10 times better than a guy like Devin Singletary. Being able to run the ball, catch the ball, his speed, his agility, his quickness, I think he's going to be definitely a prime piece in the Bills offense and a great fantasy draft value guy as well. And, of course, the Bills defense. When you look at the team like the AFC, the conference like the AFC, all these top quarterbacks looking to throw the ball, be effective, air it out. I think you got the perfect guys back there, healthy guys back there who are going to get a lot of interceptions. You know, they're going to be able to take the ball away a lot, maybe a couple pick sixes. So definitely the Bills defense is another team or person to get when you're looking at the Buffalo Bills in fantasy.
I love it. I love it. Hey, and I will say here that Dalton Kincaid, that could be a good pick up there. Gabe Davis, hey, if he's there available for you in those later rounds, I'll take a flyer on him. But I would say, now speaking macro level, overall for the draft, folks, I think people who are undervalued, Alexander Madison out there, the Minnesota starting running back, he's getting all the carries now, did great for me in any spot duty when Dalvin Cook was hurt. So I definitely love him and Hockenson and Jordan Addison. To me, the Minnesota Vikings, they're going to be in a lot of games. They only really have Justin Jefferson as a real big playmaker with no Thielen. Osborne's there, but he's up and down. So I like the Minnesota Vikings offense. Kirk Cousins, he always puts up numbers. He gonna be behind the game, and he's gonna pass them in, or he's gonna be passing it early and then trying to hold on for dear life to win the game. So for me, I'm thinking, hey, check out and watch out for those Minnesota Vikings weapons, in particular Jordan Addison as a rookie, TJ Hockenson, and most importantly, if you get him, I think he's a great running back too, Alexander Madison. He'll totally be an undervalue in a lot of drafts I've been in. A guy for me who I think is going to be a top 5 back, but is not getting the same respect. And mind you, it's feast or famine. It's a high risk, high reward pick. But a guy like DeAndre Swift out of Philadelphia, early on in his season with Detroit, he was able to show the ability to get as many scrimmage yards as you need him to, whether running the ball, catching the ball out the backfield. He's a great back, and especially in the PPR league. You put him with a guy like Jalen Hurts, you put him behind the Eagles' offensive line. His only competition is Rashard Penny, who I love, Kenneth Gainwell, who couldn't get any burn, Boston Scott. These guys have been on the team, but they traded for this during this draft for a guy like DeAndre Swift. So they gave up a lot of draft capital. And I just think that he's going to be explosive when it comes to scrimmage yards, catching the ball, running the ball, getting touchdowns. I think Jalen Hurts, I think their chemistry is going to be unmatched. Both guys from the SEC, Jalen, of course, from Alabama, DeAndre from Georgia. And the Georgia Bulldogs over the years, those championship years, they've proven to be very, very dominant coming into the league, showing that they're pros. And I think DeAndre Swift is going to have an excellent season. Top 5 running back value. You can get him real late. I think ADP of 120. He's a 32nd ranked running back right now in fantasy, but I think he's going to have top 5 value. So a guy like DeAndre Swift, to me, is worth the pick.
Absolutely. You're on point. You guys are on point with fantasy football. Y'all get back next week with part 2 of this before kickoff time with that. Because Swift, his only problem is he just can't stay on the field.
Always in the shop. Always in the shop.
He's a great runner, though. That guy picks it when he's on the field. He's the best. To me, he's one of the best running backs in the game next to Chubb in Cleveland when he's on the field. But the problem is he just can't stay on the field enough for that. So watch out with that guy. Good player. Hey, guys, what we go for the next week? Lions at Kansas City, Thursday night football. We kick the season off. 6.5 is the spread right now. Who you got, J-GILLZ, in this one?
I'm going Kansas City. I hear Kadarius Toney may be healthy. I just think that after the championship, I don't want to go on a tirade too long. I know we don't got much time, but I'm going with Kansas City.
Quick
got Patrick Mahomes.
All right, Fanatic, who you have in that one?
I'm taking the over, baby. I'm not messing with the line. Hey, my Detroit Fighting Tigers. I love them. The Detroit Tigers, Detroit Lions. Look at that baseball. But yeah, I'm taking the over actually.
Take the over. I agree with you. If you want to make some money on Thursday night, take the over. The Red Man, check RealDealSportsShow.com. Go to the website. Next week, we'll have all the games on there. Starting by next Thursday, we'll have the spreads on there and who we pick so you can start winning some money right off the bat. But if you want to win money on that first game, take the over. Kansas City versus Detroit. Kansas City always plays down to their competition. They may cover that 6.5 points. They may cover it. They're going to make you sweat it out. It's not going to be an easy one, but they will get you that over because Detroit going to put some points on the board. Chris Jones isn't there. They don't have a pass rush without Chris Jones. They better pay the man, as Deion Sanders always said, pay that man. It seems like you're paying him every other year. I don't know, y'all. Every year, it seems like that guy asking for money. You know, quick thing at the Super Bowl. After the Super Bowl, the first question somebody asked him, "Hey, what it was like winning the Super Bowl?" He said, "No, what it's like about me getting paid by this organization." He just went on a rant about. Everybody was like, "Wow, this guy just won the Super Bowl, and he talking about his money."
He needed money.
Man, that man need his money, man. Pay that man.
He said, "Don't play with that man and that money." Hey, just like you said, prime time. I'm excited here in Baton Rouge. He's still the talk of the town. Prime time. That guy playing 11 Central for us in the Central Time Zone, but noon on the East. Check out Colorado. If it wasn't prime time, would nobody care about TCU in Colorado? It's all about Shador, the number one overall pick that came out, the number one recruit in 2020. Travis Hunter. That's the quarterback of Florida State. But hey, Colorado today, Penn State, Clemson. Where you at? Where you at? Dabo, you've been good for a while. Where you at? You had Taj Boyd. We talked about Deshaun. You had Trevor Lawrence. Where you at, Clemson? Let's see what you do. LSU, 2-point favorite, baby, on Sunday. Check us out. 8 o'clock Eastern at Florida State in Orlando. It's going to be a great one, man. And you know, watch out, neighbors. Harold Perkins. I'm bringing it to you live. Hey, shout out to E-Rad. Auburn will be at the game live, recording for us. We ready. College football is here, baby. We start here in a few hours. Let's get it.
A few hours, and the sun is so bright down there in Baton Rouge. It's coming through the windows of your spot. We got some sunshine up here in the Rock. We're gonna get it bright sunshine this weekend. We're gonna hope to get as bright as the Baton Rouge area as well. But I like LSU with -2 tomorrow against Florida State. Florida State, the experienced team, but LSU look like they got a lot. They added a lot of horses to that lineup. Those LSU Florida State game Sunday night is going to be a good one. Take the -2 LSU on that one. But for football, you want to make some serious money? Take the over on Thursday night. Detroit versus Kansas City. Backspin, how you doing, Backspin?
I'm going pretty good, Rad, man. You know, I got myself a nice little draft I put together as well. So I'm excited. I'm a fantasy football fanatic. No pun intended. Fanatic, but yeah, I'm excited for this year's season. I'm excited to see what my boys do. You know, I'm excited. I'm excited. I love this time of year.
Me too, Bax. But hey, tell us real quick, who on the team? Who you got?
I mean, on my fantasy
on the
team,
fantasy
right,
team, baby. That's the only team that matters these days.
I got a few teams, but I'm gonna just go. I'm gonna go with this team right here. I'm gonna go with.
Who you got?
Shout out to my people in the Money League. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Let me pull my. I got Josh Allen. I got Josh Allen.
We got plenty of fantasy talk, man. We're gonna be able to get it in, folks. Any questions? Make sure y'all know every Saturday morning. Y'all know what it is here. We need to make sure about your fantasy teams, injury lineups, flex position, who should be in what spot. We got y'all, baby. Fantasy football is what we do. Shout out to Big O, who comes on the show. He's our
AJ Brown for my first receiver.
Hey, okay.
No loyalty there. No loyalty there.
This is fantasy, baby. We got no loyalty in fantasy. Yeah. Actually, I don't even like picking my Cowboys because it tugs with my heartstrings.
It's a conflict of interest.
Exactly. It's a conflict of interest. So I don't even like having my boys on my team unless it's just, you know, when Zeke first came in the league. You gotta get a guy like that. But you know, I picked up. And I had the 7th pick in this draft. All right. I had the 7th pick. The first pick I picked was AJ Brown. Second pick was Nick Chubb.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
Yep, went with Nick Chubb. And then the quarterback started flying off the board. So I picked up Josh Allen. I don't want to say I got stuck with him because, you know, every time I played against him last season, he killed me.
I know. I got the same feeling. Yo,
he better have that same energy.
Yeah, every week for you now, right?
Exactly.
Back. But jump in real quick. That's how I felt about Lamar. Every time I played Lamar, and I'm like, every time, like when he got hurt, I never played Lamar again. Like, oh God, man. So I got Lamar. I had the same sort of theory. Because Lamar, you better cook for me. Let's go, man.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I ended up being able to pick up Breece Hall in like the 4th round.
Okay.
So I was with that. I picked up James Conner. I got George Kittle as my tight end. Drake London as my second receiver.
Okay.
And you know, I picked up Charbonnet. I got him on the bench, just waiting for Walker to blow out a hamstring.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. You got to get the back of EJ Mitchell out of San Fran. You know, the backups are the way to go.
I picked up Addison from Minnesota. He's supposed to do big things this year, being a rookie and all of that. You know, number 2 to Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. So I'm you know, got my fingers crossed. I picked up the Jets defense. I think they're a phenomenal squad. And my kicker, I got Cincinnati's kicker McPherson. You know, so
it's a good lineup, Backspin. It's a good lineup, man. It's the money league.
The Yahoo, it's a money league, and the Yahoo gave me an A+ grade. Actually, they gave me the best pick of the best draft. I got the best pick. So, you know, I'm excited, hella excited. Can't wait for this year to get started, man. Appreciate you guys, the Real Deal Sports Show. We running out of time, but
catch you next week.
Yes, sir.
We're ready for it.
J-GILLZ, Radman. We'll see you guys next week when football season is actually here.
We can't wait. Let's get it.
Now, keep it right where you got it. It's the B 105.5. Back in time, Mix Show was on deck. It's the beat.
It's the beat.